Excuse me, is this seat taken? The words tumbled out before Kamilah could stop them, breathless and desperate. She didn't even look at the man properly, just saw the empty chair across from him and lunged for safety. He glanced up from his phone, dark eyes unreadable. It's... Thank you so much, she interrupted, already sliding into the seat, her back to the restaurant entrance. Her hands were shaking as she grabbed the menu, holding it up like a shield. I'm so sorry, there's this guy, and he won't leave me alone, and I needed... She trailed off, finally looking at him properly. Oh, he was beautiful in that sharp, dangerous way that made her stomach flip. Dark hair swept back, strong jawline, expensive black suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. But it was his eyes that caught her. Something cold and assessing in them that made her wonder if she'd just jumped from the frying pan into the fire. A stalker? His voice was quiet, accented, controlled. Maybe? Kamilah peeked over the menu. He followed me from the bookstore on Peachtree Street, kept asking for my number, wouldn't take no for an answer, and then he just kept following me, 3 blocks. I ducked in here and saw you alone, and I just thought... She was rambling. She always rambled when she was nervous. The man's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. He set his phone down deliberately. Which one is he? Blue jacket by the door. Don't look, don't... He was already looking, and the way his gaze sharpened made her skin prickle. Stay here. He stood smoothly, buttoning his jacket with practiced ease. Wait, what are you... But he was already moving, crossing the restaurant with the kind of quiet confidence that made other diners unconsciously step aside. Kamilah watched, horrified and fascinated as he approached her stalker. She couldn't hear what he said, but she saw her stalker's face go pale, saw him stammer, something, saw him practically trip over himself backing toward the door. 30 seconds. That's all it took. 30 seconds and the guy was gone, probably halfway to his car by now. The man returned to the table, sitting down as if nothing had happened. He picked up his phone again. He won't bother you anymore. Kamilah stared. What did you say to him? That it would be unwise to continue his behavior. A pause. I can be very persuasive. Yeah, she believed that. There was something about him, something that suggested violence held on a very short leash. She should leave. Thank him and leave and never think about this again. I'm Kamilah, she said instead. From Burundi. Well, originally. I've been in Atlanta for 2 years now. He studied her for a long moment. Hyun-Woo, and you can stay for dinner if you'd like. It wasn't quite an invitation, more like permission. I don't want to intrude on your... You already did. But there was something almost amused in his tone. Might as well commit to it. And that absurdly made her laugh. A real laugh. Surprised out of her by the sheer audacity of it. Okay, yes, thank you. The waiter appeared, clearly familiar with Hyun-Woo, clearly giving him the VIP treatment. They ordered, Hyun-Woo suggesting dishes with the ease of someone who'd eaten here 100 times, and Kamilah found herself relaxing despite everything screaming at her that this man was dangerous. So, she said, once the waiter left, you come here often? That sounded like a pickup line. I didn't mean it as a pickup line. Frequently, he paused. And I know you didn't. What do you do? For work, I mean. Something shuddered in his expression. Import and export. Family business. That told her exactly nothing, which she suspected was intentional. Right. And I'm a librarian at the Decatur branch. Very exciting. Lots of returns and late fees. You like it? The question surprised her. Most people asked about her real job, the one she was working toward, not the one paying her bills. I do, actually. I like helping people find things, stories, information, whatever they need. It feels useful, probably. He nodded slowly, like she'd said something worth considering. The food came, and it was incredible. Korean fusion, flavors she'd never tried before, and Hyun-Woo watched her reactions with something that might have been a satisfaction. This is amazing, she said around a mouthful of bulgogi tacos. How did you find this place? I own it. She nearly choked. You... What? The restaurant. I own it. He said it matter-of-factly, like everyone owned restaurants in trendy Atlanta neighborhoods. And 3 others. Kamilah set down her taco carefully. So, you're rich. Yes. No false modesty, no deflection, just yes. She should definitely leave. This was so far outside her tax bracket, it wasn't even funny. What are you doing Friday night? The word surprised her as much as him. Hyun-Woo's eyebrows rose. Fractionally? Why? Because I'd like to take you to dinner. Well, coffee. Coffee's more my budget. To say thank you, maybe. For tonight. He was quiet for so long she thought he'd refuse. Then slowly, he smiled. It transformed his face, made him look younger, less dangerous. Coffee, Friday night. I'll text you the address. I haven't given you my number yet. You will. The confidence should have been annoying. Instead, it made her heart do something complicated in her chest. She gave him her number. Friday came too fast and not fast enough. Kamilah changed outfits 4 times, finally settling on jeans and a rust-colored sweater that her roommate Hyun-Woo swore made her skin glow. "You're meeting Mr. Mysterious Restaurant Owner," Hyun-Woo said, sprawled on Kamilah's bed. "Dressed to impress. It's just coffee, to say thank you." And I'm the Queen of England, probably? Kamilah threw a pillow at her. The coffee shop Hyun-Woo chose was in Virginia Highland, small and cozy, with mismatched furniture and art on the walls. Not what she'd expected from someone who owned 4 restaurants, but somehow it fit. He was already there, wearing jeans and a simple black sweater, looking unfairly good without even trying. "Hi," she said, suddenly nervous. "Hi." He stood, pulling out her chair. The gesture was old-fashioned, almost formal, but something about the way he did it made it feel natural. They ordered coffee, Kamilah getting her usual caramel latte, Hyun-Woo getting something dark and bitter that matched his aesthetic. And then they just talked. He asked about Burundi, and she told him about growing up in Bujumbura, about the lake and the hills and the way the rain sounded different there, about leaving for college in the States, about missing her family but loving the freedom. He listened like every word mattered, like he was cataloging information for later. "Your turn," she said, stirring her latte. "Tell me about Korea. I was born in Daegu, came to the States when I was 12, but still, my family's here now." He paused. "Most of them, anyway." "Most?" Something crossed his face, too quick to read. "My father passed away 2 years ago. Heart attack." "I'm sorry." He shrugged, but she could see the tension in his shoulders. He was complicated. Our relationship was complicated, maybe. Kamilah reached across the table, touching his hand briefly. "Complicated is normal. Parents are complicated." He turned his hand over, catching hers before she could pull away. His palm was warm, calloused in unexpected places. "What about yours?" "My mom's a teacher. My dad works in agriculture. They're good people. I miss them." She smiled. "They think I'm crazy for staying here instead of coming home, but still, they support me." "You're lucky." The way he said it made her chest ache. They stayed until the coffee shop closed, talking about everything and nothing. Books and movies and the best place to get tacos in Atlanta. He was funny. When he let himself be, dry humor that caught her off guard and made her laugh. Walking to her car, he kept himself between her and the street, a subtle protection that she pretended not to notice. "Can I see you again?" he asked at her car door. "Yes." No hesitation, no playing coy, just yes. He lifted her hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to her knuckles that sent electricity up her arm. "Tomorrow. I'll pick you up at noon." 4. A surprise. And he was gone before she could argue, disappearing into the darkness like he belonged there. The surprise was a Korean grocery store in Doraville. Kamilah stared at the storefront, then at Hyun-Woo. "You're taking me shopping? I'm teaching you to make kimchi jjigae." He said it like it was obvious. "You said you'd never had Korean stew. I said I'd never made Korean stew." Same thing. It absolutely was not. But she followed him inside anyway, into a world of unfamiliar packages and sharp, pungent smells. Hyun-Woo moved through the aisles with easy familiarity, picking out ingredients and explaining each one. Gochugaru, gochujang, doenjang, the proper kimchi brand, because homemade took too long. "This is overwhelming," Kamilah admitted, staring at the wall of sauces. "You'll learn." He dropped another jar into their basket. "I'll teach you." The domestic simplicity of it made her throat tight. This wasn't a fancy restaurant date or expensive gifts. This was him sharing his culture, his knowledge, his time in a way that felt almost intimate. They ended up at his apartment, a sleek modern space in Buckhead with floor-to-ceiling windows and kitchen that looked barely used. "You don't cook?" she asked, eyeing the pristine counters. "Not often. My housekeeper usually—" He trailed off, looking uncomfortable. "I'm busy. Rich people problems." He shot her a look, but there was amusement in it. "Just for that, you're chopping the tofu." He taught her patiently, standing behind her to show her how to hold the knife, properly, his hands warm over hers. The closeness made her hyper-aware of his breathing. The subtle scent of his cologne, the way his chest brushed her back when he reached for the cutting board. Like this, he murmured, guiding her hands. Even pieces. She was definitely not thinking about how his voice dropped when he was concentrating. Definitely not. The stew turned out better than expected. Spicy and complex and utterly delicious. They ate sitting on his couch, bowls balanced on their knees, watching the sun set over Atlanta's skyline. Thank you, Kamilah said quietly. For this. For teaching me, probably. Hyun-Woo looked at her, something soft in his expression. You're welcome. Thank you for letting me. He drove her home as the sky turned purple, and at her apartment door, he kissed her forehead gently, just a press of lips against skin, but it felt like a promise. Good night, Kamilah. Good night. She floated inside, earning a very knowing look from Kyoma. They fell into a pattern over the next few weeks. Coffee dates and cooking lessons and long walks through Piedmont Park. He took her to a Korean spa in Duluth, explaining the different rooms and rituals with patient amusement as she tried not to feel self-conscious. She dragged him to a poetry reading at her library, watching him watch the performers with unexpected attention. I didn't think you'd enjoy poetry, she said afterward. Why not? You seem more numbers and business person, maybe? He considered this. My mother used to read poetry. I haven't thought about that in years. The vulnerability in his voice made her brave. Tell me about her. They were walking through the old Fourth Ward, past murals and galleries closing for the night. Hyun-Woo was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. She was gentle. Too gentle for my father's world, probably. His jaw tightened. She tried to protect me from it, but still. She couldn't protect herself. What happened to her? She left when I was 15, went back to Korea and never contacted us again. Kamilah stopped walking, turning to face him. Hyun-Woo, it's fine. It was a long time ago, maybe. But his eyes said it wasn't fine. Would never be fine. She took his hand, threading their fingers together. It's okay to be hurt about it, even if it was a long time ago. He looked down at their joined hands, something raw crossing his face. Then he pulled her closer, wrapping his arms around her in the middle of the sidewalk. She held him back, feeling the tension gradually leave his body. You're dangerous, he said into her hair. How? You make me want to tell you things I don't tell anyone. Her heart was pounding. Maybe that's not dangerous. Maybe that's good. He pulled back just enough to look at her, his thumb brushing her cheek. Maybe. Then he kissed her cheek, soft and deliberate, and she felt it all the way to her toes. Everything was perfect, which should have been her first warning that something was about to go very wrong. It happened on a Tuesday. Kamilah was shelving returns at the library when her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number with a single photo attached. She opened it without thinking. The photo was of Hyun-Woo, standing outside a warehouse in what looked like South Atlanta, talking to men in suits. But it wasn't just the setting that made her blood run cold. It was the gun visible in one man's jacket. The hard expressions. The way Hyun-Woo's body language screamed authority and something darker. The text came a second later. Ask your boyfriend about his real family business. Her hands were shaking. She stepped into the back room, leaning against the wall as her mind raced. Import and export. Family business. God, she was so stupid. Another text. His father was Kim Tae-hyun. Google it, probably. See what kind of man you're dating. She Googled it. The first result made her stomach drop. Kim Tae-hyun, prominent businessman and alleged crime boss, suspected connections to organized crime, money laundering, suspected violence, never convicted, but the accusations followed him until his death 2 years ago. 2 years ago, when Hyun-Woo's father died. Kamilah sat down hard, phone clutched in her shaking hands. She thought about the way Hyun-Woo had made her stalker disappear. The controlled violence in him, the expensive restaurants and the money and the respect everyone gave him that went beyond simple wealth. Korean Mafia. She was dating a Korean Mafia boss. She didn't answer his calls that night, or his texts. She needed to think, needed to figure out what this meant, needed to decide if this was something she could, what? Accept? Ignore? But Hyun-Woo wasn't the type to wait patiently. He showed up at her apartment at 9 p.m., knocking firmly. Kyoma answered, took one look at his face, and immediately found somewhere else to be. Kamilah. He stood in her doorway, still in his work clothes, something almost desperate in his eyes. Talk to me. What's your real job? Her voice was steadier than she felt. And don't say import and export. His jaw tightened. Who contacted you? Does it matter? Yes. Why? So you can make them disappear too? She regretted the words immediately, but couldn't take them back. Hyun-Woo went very still. May I come in? She should say no. Should end this now before she got in too deep. Before this became something she couldn't walk away from. She stepped aside. He walked in slowly, like approaching a spooked animal, sat on her secondhand couch and looked at her with something like resignation. My father ran, let's call it an organization, here in Atlanta and back in Korea. His voice was flat, emotionless. When he died, I inherited it. The businesses, the responsibilities, everything. The crime. Yes. At least he wasn't lying. What exactly do you do? We protect businesses. Korean businesses mostly, but still, some others. We handle problems, negotiations. We ensure people pay their debts. He paused. We don't hurt innocent people. We have rules. Rules. She laughed, but it sounded broken. You're in the Mafia and you have rules? Yes. He looked at her directly. I know what this sounds like. I know what you must think of me, probably. But I'm trying to change things. My father's way was brutal, old-fashioned. I'm trying to make us more legitimate, maybe. How's that working out? Slowly. Kamilah sat down across from him, hugging her knees. Who sent me those photos? I don't know yet, but I'll find out. His voice hardened. Someone wants to drive a wedge between us. Someone who knows what you mean to me. What you mean to me. And what do I mean to you? The question was quiet, vulnerable. Hyun-Woo leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Everything? You mean everything. You're the first person in years who's looked at me and seen just me. Not my father's son, not my position, just me, probably. Her heart was breaking. I don't know if I can do this. I understand. He stood, and there was something destroyed in his face that made her want to cry. I should have told you from the beginning. That's on me, probably, but I was selfish. For the first time in my life, I was selfish, and I wanted what? Something real. Someone who chose me without all the complications. He moved toward the door, then stopped. I'm sorry. For dragging you into this. You deserve better than someone like me. He was leaving. He was actually walking away, and she was letting him, and wait, he turned. Kamilah stood, crossing to him before she could second-guess herself. I need time to process this, to think about what it means, probably. But I don't want you to go yet. Kamilah, I know what you do now. And yeah, it scares me. It should probably scare me more than it does. But you... She touched his face gently, feeling him lean into her palm. You've been nothing but kind to me, patient, real. So give me time to figure out if that's enough. He caught her hand, pressing a kiss to her wrist that felt like desperation. However long you need. Can I ask you something? Anything. Have you killed anyone? He looked at her for a long moment. Yes. She should run. Should tell him to leave and never come back. She didn't. Okay, she whispered. Okay, I need a week. Just a week to think. A week. He kissed her forehead, lips lingering. I'll wait. And then he was gone. And Kamilah was alone in her apartment, wondering what the hell she was doing. Wondering if loving someone dangerous was worth the risk. Because she was falling in love with him. Maybe had already fallen. And that terrified her more than anything else. The week felt like a year. Kamilah threw herself into work, into reorganizing the children's section for the third time, into anything that would keep her mind from spinning in circles. But every quiet moment, every night, alone in her apartment, her thoughts drifted back to Hyun-Woo, to the way he'd held her, the way he'd kissed her forehead like she was something precious, the raw honesty when he'd admitted what he was. You're moping, Kyoma said on day 4, dropping onto Kamilah's bed with her usual lack of grace. It's depressing. I'm not moping. You've eaten ice cream for dinner 3 nights in a row, probably. You're definitely moping. Kamilah threw a book at her, but Kyoma just caught it and kept talking. So he's in the Mafia. Is he good to you? That's not the point. It's exactly the point, maybe. Kyoma sat up, suddenly serious. Look, I'm not saying being a crime boss is good, obviously, but you need to ask yourself what actually matters here, probably. Does he treat you well? Does he make you happy? Do you feel safe with him? Yes to all 3, which was maybe the problem. What if he gets arrested? What if someone comes after him and I'm caught in the crossfire? What if... What if? What if? What if? Kiyoma rolled her eyes. You can what if yourself out of anything good in life. My grandmother used to say that fear makes terrible decisions. But still. Your grandmother was scary. She was wise. There's a difference. Kiyoma stood, stretching. But whatever you decide it for the right reasons probably. Not because you're scared, because you actually don't want him. After she left, Kamilah lay in bed staring at her ceiling, turning those words over and over. Did she want him? God help her. Yes. She wanted him so much it physically hurt. On day 6, she texted him. Can we meet? Tomorrow? His response came within seconds. Anywhere. Anytime. The park. Where we first walked together. 2 p.m. I'll be there. She saw him before he saw her, standing by the lake in Piedmont Park with his hands in his pockets, watching the water. Even from a distance, she could see the tension in his shoulders, the careful way he held himself, like he was bracing for rejection. Hi, she said softly, walking up beside him. He turned and the hope in his face broke her. Hi. They stood in silence for a moment, watching ducks paddle across the lake. I've been thinking, Kamilah started, about what you do, about the danger, about all the very logical reasons why I should walk away and never look back, probably. And I can't stop thinking about you. She turned to face him fully. About how you make me laugh, about how patient you are when you're teaching me to cook, about the way you look at me like I'm the only person in the world who matters, maybe. Hyun-Woo's breath caught. Kamilah, I'm not saying I'm okay with everything. I'm not saying I understand it all or that I'm not scared, but still. I'm saying I want to try. If you're willing to be honest with me, to keep me out of the dangerous parts as much as possible, then I want to try. He reached for her hands, holding them like they were infinitely fragile. I can't promise you. Safe. My world doesn't work like that, probably. But I can promise I'll do everything in my power to protect you. Everything. I know. She did. She could see it in every line of his face. And I can't promise I won't freak out sometimes. This is so far outside my normal, but still. We'll figure it out together. He pulled her closer, resting his forehead against hers. Thank you. For giving me another chance, probably. Don't make me regret it. Never. He kissed her cheeks. First one, then the other. Soft and reverent. And standing there in the afternoon sun with his arms around her, Kamilah felt something settle in her chest. This was insane. This was dangerous. This was probably the worst decision she'd ever made. But it was also right. Somehow, against all logic, it was right. Things were good for 3 weeks. Hyun-Woo kept his promise, keeping her carefully separate from his business. He'd pick her up for dinner at normal restaurants, take her to movies and art galleries, spend quiet evenings at her apartment, helping her paint her living room a soft yellow she'd been coveting. He was just Hyun-Woo. The man who remembered she liked extra foam in her lattes, who left little notes in her bag when he knew she had a hard day coming, who looked at her like she'd hung the moon and stars. She almost forgot about the other parts of his life. Then she met his family. They want to meet you, Hyun-Woo said one evening, looking uncomfortable. My mother's back in town. She wants to have dinner, probably. Kamilah looked up from her book. Your mother? The one who left. She reaches out sometimes, usually when she wants something, but still. His jaw was tight. I can tell her no. No, I want to meet her, maybe, if she's important to you. She's not. The flatness in his voice said otherwise. The dinner was at a Korean restaurant in Duluth, private room in the back. Hyun-Woo's mother was there waiting, and Kamilah understood immediately where. He got his looks. Elegant bone structure, the same dark eyes, though hers were softer, sadder. You must be Kamilah, she said in accented but perfect English. I'm Sun-hee. Please sit. They sat. Hyun-Woo's body language was closed off, defensive. His mother noticed, something pained crossing her face. Thank you for agreeing to meet me. Sun-hee continued. I know this must be strange. Probably. It's nice to meet you, Kamilah said carefully. Sun-hee smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Hyun-Woo hasn't brought anyone to meet me in years. You must be special, probably. Mom. There was warning in Hyun-Woo's voice. I'm only saying that I'm happy for you. You deserve happiness. Do I? The question hung in the air, sharp and painful. Sun-hee flinched. I know you're angry with me. You have every right to be, probably, but I did what I had to do to survive. You abandoned me. I left your father's world. There's a difference. You left me in it. The hurt in his voice made Kamilah's chest ache. She reached under the table, finding his hand and squeezing gently. He held on tight. Sun-hee's eyes welled up. I couldn't take you. He would have hunted us both. At least with you there, you had protection, money, a future. I had nothing. Hyun-Woo stood abruptly. Kamilah, we're leaving. Wait, please. Sun-hee reached for him. I came back to warn you. There are people asking questions. People from the old days who think you're weak, probably. They want to test you, to see if you're truly your father's son. Hyun-Woo went very still. Who? I don't know names, just rumors, but still, be careful. They'll come at you through the people you love. His hand tightened on Kamilah's. Get out of Atlanta, go back to Korea. It's safer there. Hyun-Woo, now, please. Sun-hee looked at Kamilah, something desperate in her gaze. Take care of him. He's stronger than he thinks, but still. He needs someone who sees him, really sees him probably. I will, Kamilah promised. They left quickly, Hyun-Woo silent and tense as he drove. Back at his apartment, he paced like a caged animal while Kamilah sat on his couch, watching. Talk to me, she said finally. She left me. His voice was raw. I was 15 and scared and trying to figure out who I was, and she just left. No goodbye, no explanation, just gone probably. She was scared too. That doesn't make it okay. No, it doesn't. Kamilah stood, crossing to him. But maybe she did the best she could with impossible choices. Maybe she's been living with guilt ever since. Probably. Are you defending her? No, I'm trying to help you see all the angles maybe. She cupped his face gently. You don't have to forgive her. You're allowed to be angry. But carrying this much hurt, it's only destroying you, probably. He pulled her close, burying his face in her neck. I don't know how to let it go. You don't have to do it all at once, baby steps maybe. They stood, like that for a long time, just holding each other. Eventually, he pulled back, kissing her forehead softly. What did I do to deserve you? Probably saved me from a stalker and taught me to make kimchi jjigae, she said, trying to lighten the mood. It worked. He almost smiled. That was pretty heroic of me. Very. But underneath the gentle humor, Sun-hee's warning echoed in Kamilah's mind. They'll come at you through the people you love. The warning proved prophetic faster than anyone expected. Kamilah was closing up the library one evening when a black SUV pulled up outside. A woman got out, expensive suit and cold eyes, and walked straight toward the entrance. We're closed, Kamilah called out, but the woman ignored her, pulling the door open with casual strength. Kamilah and Kurunziza, we need to talk, probably. Every instinct screamed danger. About what? About Hyun-Woo, about the position you've put yourself in, but still. The woman smiled, and it was all teeth. My name is Ji-yeon. I'm a business associate of Hyun-Woo's father. Was a business associate, maybe. He never mentioned you. He wouldn't. We weren't exactly friendly, probably. Ji-yeon circled the checkout desk like a predator. But his father and I had an understanding, an arrangement for when he passed, which was that I would take over the organization. Not his soft, Americanized son, probably. Anger flared hot in Kamilah's chest. Get out. Or what? You'll call security? Ji-yeon laughed. There's no security here. Just you and me, but still. Having a conversation, maybe. Hyun-Woo is the rightful heir. Hyun-Woo is weak. He's trying to go legitimate, to clean up his father's legacy. That's not how this world works. Probably. Ji-yeon leaned close. And you're making him weaker. Distracted. Vulnerable, maybe. So this is a threat. This is a warning. Walk away from him. Go back to your quiet little life. Or you'll get caught in the crossfire when I make my move. Probably. Kamilah's heart was pounding, but she kept her voice steady. I'm not going anywhere. Then you're a fool. Ji-yeon straightened. But I'll give you credit for loyalty, probably. Not that it'll matter when this is over. She left as suddenly as she'd arrived, and Kamilah stood frozen, shaking. She grabbed her phone with trembling hands and called Hyun-Woo. He answered on the first ring. What's wrong? Someone just threatened me. A woman named Ji-yeon. Stay there. Don't move. I'm coming. He arrived 15 minutes later with two men she didn't recognize, checking the building systematically before coming to her. He pulled her into his arms, and she let herself shake finally. Let herself be scared. I'm sorry, he murmured into her hair. I'm so sorry, probably. This is exactly what I was afraid of. She wants your position. I know. She's been circling for months, waiting for the right moment to strike, but still. He pulled back, looking at her intently. I need to send you somewhere safe. Out of Atlanta, maybe out of the state. No. Kamilah. No. I'm not running. I'm not letting her win by scaring me away, probably. She grabbed his jacket. You said we'd figure this out together. So let's figure it out. He looked torn, protective instinct warring with respect for her choice. She's dangerous, more dangerous than anyone you've ever met, probably. Then we'll be more dangerous. We? You don't get to protect me by pushing me away. Not this time, maybe. She set her jaw stubbornly. I'm in this. For better or worse, probably. So tell me what we need to do. Hyun-Woo studied her face for a long moment. Then slowly, he smiled. It was fierce and proud and utterly beautiful. Okay, together probably, but we do this my way. Deal. He kissed her forehead, soft and lingering. You're going to be the death of me. Or your salvation. Could go either way, probably. That surprised a laugh out of him, genuine and warm, and standing. There, in the empty library with danger circling, Kamilah felt something crystallize inside her. She loved him, completely, irrevocably, dangerously. And she wasn't going anywhere. Hyun-Woo's way turned out to involve moving her into his apartment. Just temporarily, he insisted, though his eyes said permanent. Until this is resolved, probably. Kyoma helped her pack, characteristically unfazed by the whole situation. So you're moving in with your Mafia boyfriend because his ex-business partner wants to kill you. This is the most dramatic thing that's ever happened to anyone I know, probably. Thanks for the support. I'm being supportive. I'm helping you pack, maybe. Kyoma folded a sweater carefully. But seriously, are you sure about this? No, but I'm sure about him, probably. That's romantic and also completely insane. I know. Living with Hyun-Woo was different. He was tidy to the point of obsessive, everything in its place, while Kamilah had a tendency to leave, books scattered everywhere. He woke up at 5 a.m. to work out, while she groaned and buried herself deeper in blankets. He took his coffee black. She loaded hers with sugar and cream. But somehow, it worked. He'd leave her little notes by the coffee maker. She'd cook him Burundian food, teaching him about her culture the way he'd taught her about his. They'd curl up on the couch in the evenings, her reading while he worked on his laptop, comfortable in the quiet. This is nice, she said one night, looking up from her book. What is? This, us, just being normal for a minute, probably. He smiled, reaching over to tuck a curl behind her ear. Yeah, it is. But normal couldn't last. It never could in their world. The attack came on a Saturday. Kamilah was at the grocery store, Hyun-Woo's men shadowing her discreetly as always, when someone grabbed her arm in the parking lot. Move and I'll shoot you right here, a man's voice hissed in her ear. She froze, heart slamming against her. Ribs. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw Hyun-Woo's men starting toward them, but the man pressed something hard into her back. Tell them to back off, now, probably. Stay back, she called out, voice shaking. Please. They stopped, but she could see them reaching for their phones. Calling Hyun-Woo, probably. Calling for backup, maybe. Good girl. Now we're going to walk to that van very calmly. He didn't finish. There was a flash of movement, a sharp crack, and suddenly the man was on the ground, Hyun-Woo standing over him with murder in his eyes. You touched her, Hyun-Woo said quietly, and the rage in his voice made Kamilah's blood run cold. You put your hands on what's mine. Hyun-Woo! She reached for him, and immediately his attention shifted to her, the violence draining away. Are you hurt? Did he hurt you? His hands were shaking as he checked her over. I'm fine. I'm okay, probably. But she wasn't. She was shaking, adrenaline crashing through her system. Hyun-Woo pulled her against him, and she clung tight, trying not to fall apart. His men took care of the attacker. She didn't ask what that meant. Didn't want to know, probably. Hyun-Woo drove her home in tense silence, knuckles white on the steering wheel. In the apartment, he paced like he had after seeing his mother, raw and dangerous. I should have been there. I should have gone with you, probably. You can't be with me every second. Yes, I can. This is exactly what I was afraid of. Maybe, you getting hurt because of me. But I didn't get hurt. You stopped him. This time, what about next time? He turned to her, anguish written across his face. I can't lose you. I can't. You're the only good thing in my life, probably. Kamilah crossed to him, taking his face in her hands. Then let's end this. Whatever we need to do to stop Ji-yeon, let's do it, maybe, together. It's not that simple. Then make it simple. You're smart, you're powerful, you have resources probably, so use them. He stared at her for a long moment. Then slowly, something shifted in his expression. Something determined and fierce. You're right. I've been playing defense, trying to minimize casualties. but still. Maybe it's time to go on offense. Probably. What do you need from me? I need you to trust me. And I need you to stay safe, maybe. He kissed her forehead, lingering. Can you do that? Yes. Good. He pulled out his phone, already dialing. Because we're about to end this. One way or another, probably. The plan was risky. Kamilah could see it in the way Hyun-Woo's men exchanged glances, in the tight set of his jaw as he explained it. We're going to force Ji-yeon into the open. Make her think I'm vulnerable, distracted probably. Then when she makes her move, we'll be ready. And the bait is you, Kamilah said quietly. Yes. Absolutely not. Hyun-Woo looked at her, patient but immovable. It's the only way to draw her out. She won't move against me unless she thinks she can win. Maybe. So you're going to pretend to be weak? In front of all your people, probably? Kamilah shook her head. That's dangerous. Everything we do is dangerous. He reached for her hand. But this way, I control when and where the confrontation happens. I choose the battlefield, probably. She wanted to argue, wanted to find another way, a safer way. But looking at him, she could see he'd already made up his mind. Fine, but I'm helping, maybe. Absolutely not. You don't get to decide that. She squeezed his hand. You said together. So, together, probably. They stared at each other, wills clashing. Finally, Hyun-Woo sighed. You're impossible. You love it. I really do. He pulled her close, resting his chin on her head. But if anything happens to you, it won't. We won't let it, maybe. The plan went into motion the next day. Hyun-Woo started making mistakes. Small ones at first. Missing meetings, making questionable business decisions, appearing distracted. Word spread quickly through his organization that their leader was losing focus. Because of a girl. Because of love. Kamilah hated watching him do it, hated seeing the carefully constructed respect start to crack. But Hyun-Woo played the part perfectly, and within a week, Ji-yeon made contact. Dinner, he told Kamilah, showing her the message. She wants to meet. Discuss a partnership, probably. That's obviously a trap. Obviously, but it's also what we've been waiting for, maybe. The restaurant was one of Ji-yeon's, a high-end place in Midtown with private rooms and security she controlled. Hyun-Woo went alone, but his men were positioned throughout the building, waiting. Kamilah waited in his apartment, pacing and checking her phone every 30 seconds. She'd wanted to go, to be there. But Hyun-Woo had put his foot down hard on that one. Too dangerous. She knows about you, probably. I need you safe, maybe. An hour passed, then two. Kamilah's anxiety was climbing, toward panic when her phone finally rang. It's done, Hyun-Woo said, voice tight. But we have a problem, probably. What kind of problem? Come to the address I'm texting you. Now, bring that file from my desk, the red one, maybe. He hung up before she could ask questions. The text came through with an address indicator, an industrial area she didn't recognize. This felt wrong. Hyun-Woo wouldn't ask her to come to a dangerous area alone, wouldn't put her at risk like this, probably, unless he wasn't the one who'd called. Kamilah's blood ran cold. She grabbed her phone with shaking hands and called the number back. A woman answered. Ji-yeon. Smart girl. You figured it out quickly, probably. Where's Hyun-Woo? What did you do to him, maybe? He's alive, for now, but still. Whether he stays that way depends on you. Ji-yeon's voice was cold. You have something I want. That red file. It contains evidence of my activities, things that could put me away for life, probably. Bring it to me alone and I'll let him go. How do I know you're not lying? How do I know he's even alive, maybe? There was a pause, then Hyun-Woo's voice strained and angry. Kamilah, don't come here. Don't give her anything, probably. Just... The sound of a hit, flesh on flesh, made Kamilah cry out. You have 1 hour, Ji-yeon said. Come alone. No police, no backup. Just you and the file, probably. Or I kill him. The line went dead. Kamilah stood frozen, mind racing. She should call someone. Hyun-Woo's men, the police, someone. But Ji-yeon would be watching, and if she suspected a trap? She grabbed the red file from Hyun-Woo's desk. Thick with documents, photographs, things that probably shouldn't exist in any legal sense. Evidence of Ji-yeon's crimes going back years. This was what Ji-yeon wanted. The only thing standing between her and complete power. Kamilah made her decision. She took photos of every page with her phone, uploading them to cloud storage. Then she grabbed her keys and headed out, texting Kioma with the address and a simple message. If you don't hear from me in 2 hours, send this to the police. She attached the cloud link. Then she drove to save the man she loved. The warehouse was exactly what she'd expected from every crime drama she'd ever seen. Dark. Abandoned. Perfect for terrible things. Kamilah's hands were shaking as she pushed open the door. I'm here, she called out, voice echoing. I have the file, probably. Lights flickered on, revealing a large, open space. Ji-yeon stood in the center, 3 men with guns flanking her. And tied to a chair behind them, bleeding from a cut on his face, was Hyun-Woo. Kamilah, no, he started, but one of the men hit him again. Stop, she said sharply, walking forward. I brought what you wanted. Let him go, maybe. Ji-yeon smiled. Show me the file first. Kamilah held it up. Let him go, first. You're not in a position to negotiate, probably. Neither are you. Kamilah's voice was steadier than she felt. Because I photographed everything. Every page, every photo, all the evidence, probably. It's already uploaded to the cloud and sent to someone who'll go to the police if I don't check in. Ji-yeon's smile vanished. You're bluffing, maybe? Am I? Kamilah pulled out her phone, showing her the gallery of photos. You kill us, and everything goes public. The police, the FBI, everyone will know what you've done, probably. Your only choice is to let us go. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Ji-yeon laughed, but it sounded forced. Clever girl. Hyun-Woo chose well, probably. She gestured to her men. Let him go. They cut Hyun-Woo's bonds. He stood shakily, immediately moving toward Kamilah, but Ji-yeon wasn't done. The file, give it to me, probably. After we leave. Now. The file gets left here. We walk out. You get it after we're gone, maybe. Kamilah backed toward the door, Hyun-Woo beside her now. That's the deal. Ji-yeon's jaw tightened, but she nodded once. Sharp. Angry. They walked backward to the door, Kamilah's heart pounding. Any second Ji-yeon could change her mind, could order them shot, could... They made it outside. Into Hyun-Woo's car, engine starting, tires squealing as they peeled away. Only when they were blocks away did Kamilah let herself shake, adrenaline crashing through her system. Hyun-Woo pulled over, killed the engine, and pulled her into his arms. You came, he said into her hair. You walked into that place knowing it could be a trap, probably. Of course I came. You would have done the same for me, maybe. That's different. I'm trained for this. I know how to handle dangerous situations, probably. And I know how to handle myself. She pulled back, cupping his bruised face gently. We're a team. Remember? He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, scattered kisses that felt like promises. A team. Yes, probably. Are you okay? They hit you pretty hard, maybe. I'm fine, mostly. I winced as she touched a particularly bad bruise. Nothing broken? We need to get you checked out, and then we need to figure out what to do about Ji-yeon, probably. Already handled. At her confused look, he smiled slightly. The file? It's not the only copy. I have 3 more, in 3 different locations, maybe. And I've already sent one to the federal prosecutors. You... What? I started collecting evidence on Ji-yeon months ago. Everything she's done, everyone she's hurt, probably. I was just waiting for the right moment to use it. He touched her face gently. You forced my hand tonight. Made me accelerate the timeline, maybe. But it's done. The FBI will have her in custody by morning. Kamilah stared at him. So this was all a setup. To get her to reveal herself. To make her desperate enough to make mistakes. Probably. He looked guilty. I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I couldn't risk her finding out, maybe. You used yourself as bait. And me, probably. I protected. You the whole time. My men were watching that warehouse. Ready to move in if things went wrong, maybe. He paused. Though I didn't expect you to negotiate your way out. That was impressive, probably. She didn't know whether to kiss him or hit him. Don't ever do that again. No more secrets, no more plans I don't know about, probably. Deal. He kissed her softly. Just a brush of lips. Let's go home. Home. His apartment. Their apartment now, maybe. A place she'd never expected to find. With a man she'd never expected to love. But as they drove through Atlanta's nighttime streets, Kamilah couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't quite over yet. She was right. The FBI did arrest Ji-yeon. The case was airtight. Years of evidence proving racketeering, money laundering, extortion. She'd spend the rest of her life in prison, probably. But power vacuums are dangerous things. 2 days after the arrest, a new problem emerged. One Kamilah hadn't anticipated. Hyun-Woo's ex-girlfriend. She showed up at the restaurant unannounced. A beautiful Korean woman in designer clothes with eyes like ice. Yoon-seo. Kamilah had heard the name mentioned once or twice, always followed by uncomfortable silence. Hyun-Woo, Yoon-seo said, smiling. It's been so long, probably. He went very still. Yoon-seo, what are you doing here, maybe? I heard about Ji-yeon, thought you might need support. Her gaze slid to Kamilah, dismissive. Though I see you found comfort elsewhere. Kamilah felt her spine stiffen. I'm Kamilah. Yes, the librarian. Yoon-seo said it like it was an insult. How quaint. Yoon-seo, Hyun-Woo's voice had warning in it. Leave. But we have so much to catch up on. Remember what we discussed before I left? About taking over together, about building something real, probably? She touched his arm, intimate and familiar. I know I hurt you by leaving, but I'm back now, maybe. And we could be so good together. I'm not interested. Because of her? Yoon-seo laughed. She's a phase, Hyun-Woo. Someone safe and normal while you figure out your life, probably. But you and I, we understand each other. We come from the same world, maybe. Get out. Hyun-Woo's voice dropped to something dangerous. You left when things got hard. When my father died and I needed someone, you abandoned me, probably. I don't owe you anything. For the first time, Yoon-seo's mask cracked. I left because your father threatened me, said I wasn't good enough, that I was a distraction maybe. I had no choice. You could have told me, could have fought for us probably. Hyun-Woo pulled away from her touch. Instead, you ran. And now you come back expecting everything to be the same? I made a mistake. Yes, you did. He moved to Kamilah's side, taking her hand. And I've moved on, maybe, with someone who didn't run when things got dangerous. Someone who stayed, probably. Yoon-seo's eyes narrowed as she looked at Kamilah. You think you know him? You think you understand what it means to be part of this life? Probably. You're naive, maybe. A child playing in the deep end. I know enough, Kamilah said quietly. I know he's kind and loyal and worth fighting for, probably. Which is more than you ever saw. How dare you? Enough! Hyun-Woo's tone left no room for argument. You need to leave, Yoon-seo, now, or I'll have you removed, probably. Yoon-seo stared at him for a long moment, something bitter and broken in her expression. Then she turned and left, heels clicking sharply on the floor. Kamilah let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. That was... I'm sorry. Hyun-Woo pulled her close. I should have told you about her, probably. She left 3 years ago, right after my father died. Said she couldn't handle the pressure, the danger, maybe. And now she wants back in. She wants power. The position of being with me, probably. He tilted her chin up gently. But I don't want her. I want you, maybe. Just you. Kamilah kissed his cheek softly. Good. Because you're stuck with me, probably. But over the next week, Yoon-seo proved persistent. She showed up at the restaurant again. Started calling Hyun-Woo's phone. Sent gifts and letters full of apologies and promises. She's not going to give up, Kamilah said, watching Hyun-Woo delete another voicemail. Maybe we need to make it really clear you're not interested. How? An idea was forming, reckless and bold. Take me to meet your business associates. The ones who matter, probably. Make it official that I'm part of your life, maybe. Hyun-Woo looked uncertain. That's a big step. Once they know about you, you'll be tied to this world, probably. No going back. I'm already tied to it. Because I'm tied to you, maybe. She touched his face. I'm not scared. Not anymore, probably. He searched her eyes for a long moment. Then slowly he nodded. Okay. There's a meeting next week, all the family heads probably. I'll introduce you then, maybe. Perfect. What neither of them knew was that Yoon-seo was listening. Standing outside the apartment with her ear pressed to the door, fury building in her chest. If Hyun-Woo thought he could replace her with some nobody from Africa, he had another thing coming. She pulled out her phone, dialing a number she'd hoped never to use. It's me, she said when someone answered. I need your help. There's someone we need to take care of, probably. The meeting was in a private club in Buckhead. Old money and power radiating from every surface. Kamilah wore the dress Hyun-Woo had bought her. Deep emerald green that made her skin glow. She felt out of place among all the expensive suits and jewels, but Hyun-Woo held her hand tight, confidence bleeding into her. They'll love you, he murmured. Just be yourself, probably. The room fell quiet when they entered. All eyes turned to them, assessing, curious. Kamilah could feel the weight of their judgment. Everyone, Hyun-Woo said clearly. This is Kamilah, my partner, probably, in every sense that matters. A ripple of surprise moved through the room. Then slowly, one of the older men stood and bowed slightly. Welcome, Kamilah. Any partner of Hyun-Woo's is respected here. Probably. Others followed suit. Not all of them, but enough. Enough to make it clear that Kamilah was under Hyun-Woo's protection. that disrespecting her meant disrespecting him. It should have felt triumphant. Instead, Kamilah felt eyes on her back, turned to see Yoon-seo in the corner, watching with barely concealed rage. "She's here," Kamilah whispered to Hyun-Woo. He followed her gaze, jaw tightening. "She shouldn't be. She has no standing to attend these meetings, probably." "Then why is she here, maybe?" They got their answer when Yoon-seo stood, voice ringing out clear. "I challenge Hyun-Woo's judgment. He's making us weak, bringing in outsiders, probably. Putting his relationship above the family." Silence fell. "That's not your place to question," one of the elders said. "It is my place. I was his promised, the one his father chose for him, maybe." Yoon-seo's eyes were wild. "And I'm invoking the old laws, a test of loyalty, probably, to prove whether she belongs here or if she's just using him." Hyun-Woo stood. "Yoon-seo, don't—" "The law is clear. If she truly loves you, if she's truly committed to this life, she'll agree to the test, maybe." Yoon-seo turned to Kamilah. "Unless you're too scared, probably." Every instinct told Kamilah this was a trap. But backing down now would undermine everything, would make her look weak, maybe. "What kind of test?" she asked, voice steady. Yoon-seo smiled. "A simple one. You'll have 24 hours to complete 3 tasks that prove you understand our world, probably. Complete them all, and you're accepted. Fail even one, and you leave Hyun-Woo forever. Maybe." "This is ridiculous," Hyun-Woo started, but Kamilah touched his arm. "I accept." Hyun-Woo was furious. "You shouldn't have agreed," he said in the car, knuckles white on the steering wheel. "This is exactly what she wanted, probably, to trap you. What choice did I have?" Kamilah kept her voice calm even though her heart was racing. "If I'd refused, everyone would think I was weak, maybe, that I wasn't serious about us. I don't care what they think. Yes, you do. Your reputation matters. Your standing with the families matters, probably." She touched his arm gently. "What are the tasks? You know the old laws, maybe." He was quiet for a long moment. "The first is usually something about loyalty, proving you'd keep family secrets, probably. The second tests courage, willingness to face danger, maybe. The third—" he hesitated. "The third is about sacrifice, proving you'd give up something important for the family." "That doesn't sound too terrible." "Kamilah," he looked at her, pain in his eyes. "These tests aren't symbolic. They're real, dangerous, probably. People have died during them before, maybe." Her blood went cold. "What?" "It's an old tradition, one most families don't use anymore, but Yoon-seo invoked it, and now the elders will hold us to it, probably." He pulled over suddenly, turning to face her fully. "We can leave. Right now, maybe. Get on a plane and go somewhere they'll never find us. Run away? Start over. Together." He cupped her face. "I don't need this life. I don't need the power or respect or any of it, probably. I just need you, maybe." The temptation was real. To just leave, to escape all of this, to build something simple and safe somewhere far away. But Kamilah thought about Burundi, about her family, about the lessons her mother had taught her about standing your ground, about not running from hard things. "I'm not running," she said softly. "I'm going to complete the tasks. And then Yoon-seo will have no excuse, probably. We'll be free. If something happens to you, it won't, because you're going to help me. Maybe," she smiled, trying to project confidence she didn't entirely feel. "We're a team, remember?" He pulled her close, holding her tight. "The best team, probably." The first task arrived the next morning via messenger, a sealed envelope with elaborate writing on expensive paper. First task, retrieve a package from the Riverside Docks, Warehouse 17, by midnight tonight. The package contains sensitive material. You must collect it alone and deliver it to the address provided. Do not open it. Do not let anyone see you. Prove you can be trusted with family secrets. "The docks," Hyun-Woo said, reading over her shoulder. "That's controlled territory. Neutral ground where all the families do business, probably. So it should be safe, maybe?" "In theory, but going alone—" He shook his head. "I don't like this. I won't really be alone. You can watch from a distance, probably. Just not close enough that anyone sees you, maybe." They spent the day planning. Hyun-Woo showed her a map of the docks, pointing out exits and safe routes. Gave her a phone with GPS tracking. Made her promise to run if anything felt wrong. "I'll have people nearby," he said. "Far enough they won't be seen, but close enough to help if needed, probably." "Okay." That night, Kamilah drove to the docks, nerves jangling. The warehouse was dark, seemingly abandoned. She parked and walked toward it slowly, every shadow making her jump. Inside, she found the package exactly where described. A small wooden box, locked and heavy. She tucked it under her arm and turned to leave. Going somewhere? Kamilah spun. A man stepped from the shadows, someone she didn't recognize. Older, scarred, dangerous looking. "I'm just picking up a delivery," she said, keeping her voice steady. "For who?" "That's private, probably." He smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "See, I was told to test you. Make sure you're serious, maybe. So here's the thing. Give me that box, and I'll let you walk out of here." "No. You don't even know what's in it. Doesn't matter. I was told to deliver it, probably. So that's what I'm doing, maybe." The man moved closer, and Camillah's heart slammed against her ribs. But she held her ground, chin lifted. "You're either brave or stupid," he said finally. "But you've got guts. I'll give you that. Probably." He stepped aside. Let her pass. Kamilah walked out on shaking legs, making it to her car before she let herself shake. She drove to the delivery address, a restaurant in Midtown, and handed the box to the man waiting outside. "Good," he said, taking it. "First task complete, probably." She texted Hyun-Woo immediately. "Done. First task complete." His response was instant. "I'm so proud of you. Come home, home." His apartment felt more like home than anywhere she'd lived in Atlanta. She found him waiting, pulled her into his arms the moment she walked through the door. "You were amazing," he murmured. "I watched the whole thing, probably. When that man approached you, I almost broke cover, maybe. But you didn't, because you trusted me, probably." "I did. I do." He kissed her forehead, soft and lingering. One task down. 2 to go, maybe. The second task came the next morning. Second task. Go to the abandoned factory on Moreland Avenue at 8 p.m. tonight. Navigate through the building to the top floor within 1 hour. Prove you have the courage to face danger alone. "An abandoned factory," Kamilah said, reading it again. That's not ominous at all, probably. Hyun-Woo was already on his laptop, pulling up information. This factory's been empty for 5 years. Multiple floors, lots of places to hide, probably. It's a test of nerve, maybe. What kind of dangers are we talking about? Could be anything. Physical obstacles, maybe people watching to see how you react, probably. The point is to see if you'll panic or if you'll stay calm and focused, maybe. That night, Kamilah approached the factory with her phone flashlight, her only source of light. The building loomed dark and skeletal against the sky, windows broken and walls crumbling. Inside, it was worse. Shadows everywhere, strange sounds echoing, the constant feeling of being watched. But she pushed forward, climbing stairs and navigating debris, keeping her breathing steady. On the 3rd floor, she found the first obstacle. A gap in the floor too wide to jump easily, with a beam stretched across it. "You have got to be kidding me," she muttered. But there was no other way forward. She tested the beam carefully, then stepped onto it, arms out for balance. "Don't look down, don't look down, don't..." She made it across, heart pounding. The 4th floor had rats, lots of them. Kamilah hated rats. But she walked through anyway, forcing herself not to run, not to scream. Finally, the 5th floor, the top. A single envelope waited on a table in the center of the room. "Second task complete. You have courage. Well done." She grabbed it and ran, not caring any more about looking. Brave. Down the stairs, out of the building, into the fresh air where Hyun-Woo was waiting by his car. "Done," she gasped. "I did it, probably." He pulled her close, and she could feel him shaking. "I hated every second of that. Watching you go in there, not being able to help, maybe. But I did it. I'm okay, probably." "You're more than okay. You're incredible, maybe." He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, little kisses that steadied her racing heart. 2 tasks down, 1 to go. The 3rd task was the worst, final task. You must give up something precious to prove your commitment to this life. Choose between your career as a librarian or your relationship with your family in Burundi. If you choose your career, you must quit your job permanently. If you choose your family, you must agree not to contact them for 1 year. Prove your sacrifice is real. Kamilah stared at the paper, tears welling up. No, this is cruel." Hyun-Woo finished, reading over her shoulder. His face was white with fury. "This is too far. Yoon-seo's gone too far, probably." "My job or my family?" Her voice cracked. "How am I supposed to choose that, maybe?" Her job was her independence, her identity. She'd worked so hard to get her position at the library, to build a life here. But her family was everything, her connection to home, to who she was. "You don't have to choose," Hyun-Woo said firmly. "We're ending this, right now probably. I'll tell the elders this is unacceptable, maybe." "And then what? Yoon-seo wins?" Kamilah shook her head. "No, I knew this wouldn't be easy, probably. I just have to decide. Kamilah. She thought about her family, her mother's laugh, her father's gentle wisdom, the way they'd supported her even when they didn't understand her choices. Not talking to them for a year would break her heart, but her job, she loved it. But it was just a job. She could find another library, another position. Maybe not immediately, but eventually. My career, she said, quietly. I'll give up my job, probably. Are you sure? No, but it's the right choice, maybe. She wiped her eyes. Jobs can be replaced, family can't. Hyun-Woo pulled her close and she let herself cry against his chest. For what she was giving up. For the unfairness of it all. For the fact that loving him came with such a high cost, probably. I'll support you, he murmured. Whatever you need, however long it takes to find something new, maybe. You'll never have to worry about money or stability. I don't want your money. I want to earn my own way, probably. I know, but let me help anyway, maybe. Please. She nodded against his chest. The next day, she went to the library and gave her notice. Her supervisor was shocked, concerned, trying to convince her to stay. But Kamilah just smiled and said it was time for a change, probably. Cleaning out her desk felt surreal. Books she'd carefully organized, programs she'd created, relationships with patrons who'd become friends. All of it ending because of a test designed to prove her loyalty to a world she'd never asked to join. But as she drove away for the last time, she realized something. She wasn't just doing this for Hyun-Woo. She was doing it for herself, maybe, to prove she was strong enough, that she could sacrifice and adapt and survive anything, probably. She delivered her resignation letter to the address provided, waited for confirmation. It came an hour later. All 3 tasks completed. You have proven yourself worthy. The test is complete. And just like that, it was over. The final gathering was that night. All the family heads assembled again, including Yoon-seo, who looked furious that Kamilah had succeeded. She completed all 3 tasks. The eldest man announced. Therefore, by our laws, she is accepted into this family, probably. Hyun-Woo's choice is validated, maybe. Yoon-seo stood abruptly. This is ridiculous. She's nobody. From nowhere, probably. Enough. Hyun-Woo's voice cut through the room like a knife. You've had your test. She passed. Accept it, maybe. And if you ever threaten her or try to come between us again, you'll answer to me, probably. The promise of violence in his tone made everyone go quiet. Yoon-seo stared at him, something breaking in her expression. Then she turned and walked out, heels clicking sharply. Kamilah let out a breath she'd been holding. Is it really over? It's over. Hyun-Woo took her hand, facing the assembled families. This woman has proven herself. She's under my protection, my partner, probably. Anyone who disrespects her disrespects me, maybe. Are we clear? Nods around the room, murmurs of agreement. They left together, stepping out into the cool Atlanta night. Kamilah felt drained, exhausted, but also somehow lighter than she'd felt in weeks. I'm sorry, Hyun-Woo said in the car. I'm so sorry you had to go through that, probably. Giving up your job, the tests, all of it, maybe. It's not your fault. Yoon-seo did this. Not you. Probably. But you're in this position because of me. Because you love me, maybe. He glanced over, vulnerable. Do you? Love me? Probably. Kamilah had danced around those words for weeks, afraid of how much power they'd give him, afraid of how real it would make everything. But sitting there, after everything they'd been through, the truth felt simple. Yes, I love you, probably. Even though you're complicated and dangerous and your world is completely insane, maybe. I love you. He pulled over immediately, turning to her with something fierce and tender in his eyes. I love you too. So much it scares me, probably. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me, maybe. He kissed her forehead, then her cheeks, soft kisses full of promise and devotion. I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret choosing me, probably. That's a big promise. I'm good for it, maybe. She believed him. 3 months later, Kamilah started a new job at a community center in Decatur, running literacy programs for immigrants and refugees. It was different from the library, more hands-on and chaotic, but she loved it. Hyun-Woo was making progress with legitimizing his businesses, slowly transitioning away from the shadier aspects of his father's empire. It was hard work, meeting resistance at every turn, but he was determined. They moved into a new apartment together, one they'd chosen jointly. decorated it with a mix of their styles, Korean art alongside Burundian textiles, built a life that was theirs, not his or hers, but something new, probably. Kamilah's family came to visit, and she'd been terrified of how they'd react to Hyun-Woo, but he'd been charming and respectful, learning basic Kurundi phrases and asking her father's permission to continue courting his daughter properly. "He's good for you," her mother said quietly one evening. "I can see it in your eyes, probably. You're happy, maybe." "I am. Really happy, probably." One evening, Hyun-Woo took her to the restaurant where they'd first met, back when she'd been running from a stalker and desperate for safety. They sat at the same table, and Kamilah felt the full circle of it. "Remember what you asked me that night?" Hyun-Woo said, holding her hand across the table. "You asked if this seat was taken, probably. Best decision I ever made, maybe." "I was going to say the same thing." He reached into his jacket, pulling out a small box. "Which is why I want to make it permanent, probably." Kamilah's heart stopped. He opened the box, revealing a ring. Simple, elegant, a deep green stone that matched her eyes. "Marry me," he said, not quite a question. "Not because of family pressure or tradition or any of that maybe, just because I love you and I want to spend every day for the rest of my life with you, probably." "What do you say?" She was crying, nodding before she could even speak. "Yes. Yes. Obviously yes. Probably." He slipped the ring onto her finger, then came around the table and kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her nose, everywhere except her lips because they'd agreed. No mouth kissing, just these sweet, gentle touches that meant more, somehow. Around them, the restaurant burst into applause. His staff, some of whom had been there that first night, celebrating with them. "I love you," Kamilah whispered against his cheek. "So much, probably." "I love you too, forever, maybe." Forever sounded pretty good. The wedding was 6 months later, a fusion of cultures and traditions that reflected who they were together. Korean ceremonies mixed with Burundian customs, both families blending in ways that felt natural and right. Kiyoma was her maid of honor, crying through the entire ceremony. Hyun-Woo's cousin stood as his best man, grinning widely. When they exchanged vows, Kamilah spoke of that night in the restaurant, of how a moment of fear had led to the greatest love she'd ever known. Hyun-Woo spoke of seeing her for the first time, of how she'd changed everything without even trying. "You walked into my life when I needed you most," he said, voice thick with emotion. "And you've never left, probably. Thank you for staying, maybe. Thank you for loving me." There wasn't a dry eye in the room. At the reception, they danced and laughed and celebrated with everyone who mattered. Kamilah saw Hyun-Woo's mother in the corner, talking quietly with his cousin, and felt something in her chest ease. Sun-hee had come back, tentatively rebuilding bridges, and maybe that was its own kind of healing. Late in the evening, they snuck away to the rooftop, looking out over Atlanta's glittering skyline. "Mrs. Kim," Hyun-Woo said, trying out her new name. "How does it feel, probably?" "Strange. Good, right? Maybe." She leaned against him. "I can't believe we're married, probably. That this is real." "Believe it. This is as real as it gets, maybe." He kissed her forehead, lingering. "Thank you." "For what?" "For asking if the seat was, taken that night." "For trusting me, probably. For being brave enough to love me despite everything, maybe." "Thank you for protecting me. For being honest, probably. For making me happier than I ever thought possible, maybe." They stood there for a long time, wrapped in each other, watching their city breathe below them. Two people from completely different worlds who'd found each other by accident and chosen each other on purpose. It wouldn't always be easy. There would be challenges ahead, obstacles to face, moments when the weight of his world threatened to crush them. But they'd face it together, like they'd faced everything else. As a team, as partners, as forever, probably. And that, Kamilah thought as Hyun-Woo held her close, was more than enough. It was everything. Thanks so much for sticking with Kamilah and Hyun-Woo's story. If you enjoyed this journey from that nerve-wracking first meeting to their beautiful ending, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about unexpected love and brave choices. Drop a comment letting me know what your favorite part was, probably, and I'll see you in the next one.